So, you're planning a trip to the tubs with your significant other. Maybe you've been trolling the dark hallways for years by yourself, and you've finally met somebody who wants to go with you. Or maybe you're both sauna virgins looking to get deflowered together. When you head into the dark maze of your local bathhouse with your better half, it's important to be prepared. At the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing some simple tips that you can use to make the most out of your time at the sauna. And to hear more personal stories about my times at the sauna, you can find my OnlyFans link down below. Let's jump right in with the first thing that you need to know before heading out, which is trust. Trust is not something that I can teach you in this short video. Either you are a trusting person and you have a trusting relationship, or you don't. These are things that you're gonna have to figure out for yourself. You know, do you trust your partner? Do you trust yourself? Do you want to spend the day with your dad? So honestly, if you feel like you don't trust your partner completely, you don't trust yourself, you guys have trust issues, you're going through problems right now, then I would turn this video off and just watch another video completely. Because without trust, which is the cornerstone of what you need to go to the tubs with your partner, then never mind the rest of my tips and tricks. You don't already have a solid foundation, don't go to the tubs. I can see that maybe one person wants to fool around and the other one doesn't. If you're not on the same page, don't go. You guys need to be synchronized and in a good place before you both head on over to the sauna. Another thing is possessiveness and jealousy. So if one person in your relationship is kind of possessive or jealous, they're the jealous type. They get jealous when you talk to other people. They're jealous even of your friends. If they're hyper jealous, it would be difficult in a bathhouse environment for him to watch you with other people. If you guys have some jealousy issues, there's some possessiveness going on, then you need to address those first, or don't address them, but don't go to the bathhouse. The next thing you're gonna have to do is set some boundaries. You and your partner need to be on the same page. So you need to be going for the same reason, and you need to have the same checks and balances and rules in place before you go. Don't wait till you're inside somebody and then turn to your partner and be like, is this okay? It's too late. Don't wait to walk in the room and your partner's in a sling blindfolded and there's a lineup of men waiting to use him. Yeah, too late. So before you head out the door and go to your local bathhouse, you need to set some boundaries to make sure you're on the same page. To both obviously agree to these boundaries, whatever they are, however many there are. Now, if there's too many boundaries, then maybe the bathhouse is not a good idea for you, because if there's too many rules and boundaries, there's too much possibility of crossing those lines, breaking those boundaries, and then getting into a fight, and then what's the point? I would say just have a good handful of boundaries. For example, we only play together, no kissing other people, we only play safe with others. You can even create a safe word to stop the action or whatever's happening. You came together, so you leave together. You don't have to use these ones. I'm just using these as examples of the types of things that you might want to discuss before you leave. God forbid, your partner leaves with somebody else from the bathhouse and you didn't even discuss, coming together, leaving together. Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to kiss people on the mouth? Some people don't like that. It's too intimate. But mouth on a butthole is okay. But mouth to mouth, that's too far. And then, of course, are you playing safe? What are the rules around sexual safety and your sexual health? Are you only playing together? Those are the types of boundaries, the types of things that you need to absolutely discuss before you go. If you walk into your room and your partner is being pegged and you hadn't discussed that is off the table, then he didn't know. So, Third and final thing that you're gonna need to learn how to do to have an enjoyable experience at the bathhouse is communicate. Now, I know this sounds easy, but it's not just talking and saying things and the other person pretending to listen like you normally do when you're at home alone together. You actually need to be able to communicate when you're in that space together. And so what do I mean by communicate? I mean like being able to be honest and open with how you're feeling about whatever is going on in the moment. So if you find yourself in a situation, if your partner is telling you something, you need to listen to your partner and hear what they're saying, okay? You need to be honest with each other and don't hold it inside. This isn't a time to be like, oh, I'm just gonna keep it to myself. Oh, I don't wanna cause any waves. No, this is the time when you need to speak up, speak out, be honest, and communicate with your partner how you're feeling in any given moment. If you're having the time of your life, you let out a woohoo! That's great, you know. Positive reinforcement and communication is great too. But he also needs to hear if you're not feeling it, if you're uncomfortable, if you want to leave, if you need to go home, if something is painful, whatever the situation is, you need to be able to speak your truth, and your partner needs to be able to receive that and act on it. So it's about giving and receiving. Giving and receiving. A lot like what's happening at the bathhouse in all of the rooms around you. It's very important to remember that your partner always comes first in any situation. You might be having the time of, you might be, you know, fulfilling your every fantasy. You're bound and gagged and tied to the wall, and there's a line of men waiting for you. What you could be living your best life. But if your partner, and one of your boundaries was having a safe word, or we only play together, or if I'm uncomfortable, we leave, or whatever it is, your partner has to come first. You need to respect your partner first. It only works if you trust, have boundaries, and you respect and communicate with each other. And then you can have the time of your life. It's so fun, I'm telling you. Okay, now here's a few tips that will help you enjoy a night of jacuzzi loving, sling swinging, glory hole peeping action. Tip number 1, get a room. Okay, why the room? So there's already 2 of you, all right? There's 2 of you, and you're gonna be adding more people to the mix. I mean, I guess, right? That's why you're there. Whether or not you are playing together or if you're playing separately, it doesn't matter. You're gonna be adding people in, people upon people. So unless you're like, and this is possible, a super exhibitionist who only likes to play in the public areas, then you're gonna wanna get a room just to have that privacy, just to be able to contain the action, because it's hard. You have 1 person, you have 2 people, you have 2. The more people you're adding, the harder it is to control the group. So having that safe space for you to play in is really helpful. Also, having a room is a good place to store anything that you wanted to bring, like your inflatable sex doll or your portable sling. Okay, tip number 2, have a meeting spot. This is important in case you guys get separated. Whether or not one of your boundaries is, you know, we can play separately, then obviously you're gonna be separated. But at some point in the evening, you're gonna wanna check in with each other, and you probably are not gonna be having your cell phone on you. I do not encourage that because it's so easy to lose. Leave that locked away. So you're gonna wanna meet up at some point just to check in. And if you're playing together, if you do get separated, one goes to the bathroom, they can't find the other one, whatever the case, you're gonna want a meeting spot. So the meeting spot could either be your room, which is like a no-brainer, or it could be like a common area, some area that's easy to find, and you know that when you go there, your partner's gonna be there. Tip number 3, have 0 expectations. And this goes for all of your trips to the tubs, whether or not you're going with your partner or you're going solo. It's important to go with no expectations. Go with a positive attitude, bring your horny hormones. Just don't expect every time to be the time of your life because you don't know. The facilities are there for you to use. If there's nothing, it's not working out, it's not the end of the world. Not every night at the tubs is gonna be like a blowout Michael Lucas orgy porn scene. You know, sometimes it's gonna be slow. There's nobody you like. They're not into you. Whatever the case, it doesn't matter. You use the facilities, you enjoy it, but you gotta go with no expectations. Maybe, especially if you're going with your partner, go with the expectation of having a good time with your partner. So regardless of what's happening there, who you see, who you don't see. At least you have your partner that you can play with and experiment with. And maybe you guys have this kink where you want to try doing it in front of other people in public areas. This is the perfect place to experiment with that. And most importantly, this is tip number 4, is to join my Patreon page. Okay, that's not a tip. But I have a brand new patron. His name is Jockboy, and he gets perks like advanced access to episodes, behind the scenes content, and a bunch of other stuff. So if you want to join my Patreon page, the link is down below. Also, you can join my newsletter, which is absolutely free and chock full of stuff, including offers, and you can find that at patrickmarano.com. And I'll see you in the next video. Mwah!